Cornucopias is a cutting-edge open-world MMO set in a world where humanity has ascended from the Earth's surface and created a breathtaking new world in the sky. This fantastical realm is a system of floating islands carved from the land we once called home, now encased in radically advanced dome-shaped structures suspended high above the clouds. Each one is a futuristic marvel with its own unique environment, identity, and thriving communities. It is within these domes the epic journey begins. Here, players take control of their own personal avatar, which gives them the freedom to choose their destiny. Be immersed in vast landscapes, explore vibrant settlements, and engage in a myriad of activities such as crafting, commerce, combat, racing, and more. Welcome to a world where the sky is no longer the limit.
Hey everyone, welcome to COPICafe. This is episode 117, second episode of the new year. So happy new year to you guys again, and girls. We hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful Friday. I'm assuming this is going to get released on Friday. But we've got Rob Gregg here and Josh Jones here to give you some more Cornucopias updates. What do we have in the mix? And there's some good ones today. I'm excited about it. So we've got a little announcement about Unreal Engine, AI, nodes, server scaling, a leak, and some questions. So with that, Rob, what are you drinking?
Yep, we should have some pretty good movement in this week's episode. So I am
don't
drinking
know what you mean.
double strength orange juice.
Pretty good movement, he says. Well, cheers. I've got a little Fairlife protein drink.
Fairlife cows.
I'm in process of trying to undo the damage I did to my body over the holidays.
Yeah. Food.
Huh?
Food-wise.
Yeah. Food and getting thrown off schedule, not being able to work out, do cardio as much as usual. Always trying to stay on top of that as best I can so I can live long for a variety of reasons.
I got a bike, so I thought I'd start doing some more external exercise. It took me 2.5 hours to drive to ride home from the bike shop, which was good. That was a good adventure.
Is that about 10 miles or
no,
20,
about
15
1.5
miles?
miles, but I had to go through woods and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then stop off for a butty and all that kind of stuff. But then Callum had a go on it and he pulled the brakes too much. So it started getting a little bit sticky. So I then detached the wheel because it's a quick release wheel. And I don't know how to get it back on. So I've only been on the bike once.
Oh, it should be pretty easy. Those quick releases, just a lever and then pops off and pops back on. And then
I
close the lever.
It's almost a month later.
Did you mess with it and try to get it back on?
Yeah, it's almost a month. Yeah, the gears folded in on themselves, and I've looked on YouTube. It looks very easy, but there's a lot of things I can do, but I can't change a wheel.
All right. Well, you'll figure it out, I'm sure. So let's kick it off with what I'm most excited about, the UE5.5 upgrade. That is a big deal for us because it's always what was the last version we were on, Rob? Do you know?
5.3.2.
5.3.2. So this is 5.5.1, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
The very latest that's available. 5.5.1.
Yep. And I'm incredibly excited about the power that gives us and what we can do. I believe you've got a little bit more notes, but and details that you can provide. I actually have some too on the motion matching and animation, but why don't you give a quick summary? And if I feel like this would help to add more, I will.
Yeah, sure. I mean, last week we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to go for 5.5.1 or not. A week later, I think we've gone past the point of no return. So we are definitely sticking with this version now. So there is things that we'll have to wait on. So for example, NVIDIA work really close with Epic on their drivers. So we talked about DLSS. There currently is no DLSS driver for 5.5. So, I mean, we've got these new graphics cards that are out. All that will come in the future, no doubt. But at the moment, we've stopped looking at DLSS. So that we might have to pick that up again in a month or so. So that's a shame. We do use some scaling in game. So we do have this thing called TSR, which stands for temporal super resolution. We have that in the game, and in the future we will do AMD's FSR version. But at the moment, that is kind of on hold, only temporarily. But when that comes in, I mean, that will offer massive performance upgrades. David in particular was really excited about megalights. However, megalights currently is again another feature that's kind of was very good for Epic to market, but in reality is not quite there yet. So we have to wait for another version. It's been under heavy testing, and it actually increases the hits on the hardware with the ray tracing. A 30% hit on the CPU and the GPU. So that is just really unacceptable. So we are waiting for that to be updated. So we can't take advantages of megalights at the moment, but Epic bring out a first version and then they fix it. There's a lot of developers complaining, so they're on it. However, but what can we do with 5.5?
Yeah, so you started with the bad news. Let's give the good news.
Yeah, let's give you the good news. Version 5.3 had a really bad memory leak, so that's now been fixed. So that should be better performing immediately. We had some control rig issues. Those have now been fixed. Where you'll see them is David describes them as attaching static meshes to skeletons. So for example, when you put your backpack or your jetpack, sometimes there's a flicker in there. Sometimes it looks a bit overlapping, and there's issues there. Those now have all been fixed. So that's really good.
So how a static mesh like a backpack fixes to the skeleton.
Yeah, I think there was overlapping issues, and
so they made improvements there. Yep.
So all those have been fixed, which is great. We are, like I said, on UE5.5.1. When 5.5.2 comes out, which I think is in April, that'll be an easier upgrade. That might just be a let's upgrade and away we go. Well, whereas going from 3 to 5 literally has taken us weeks and weeks to implement and do some heavy testing. And some features, like I said, we've pulled some in and pulled some out. And then we have motion matching. Didn't you say you wanted to talk about motion matching?
Well, yeah, so one of the key features that I'm super excited about is motion matching, which is going to enable us to have much more natural fluid character movement.
Yep.
And in a variety. I think it increases the variety of character movement that's possible. So there's all sorts of different things we're going to be able to do now, like parkour, for example, but we'll talk more about that later. And that's not a leak. That's we've planned on doing that. And this technology enables us to move in that direction more easily and more quickly, potentially. But we've got, this is what I'm most excited about. So I pulled this up, the motion matching, and looked into it a little bit. Procedural animation, using AI algorithms to generate animations dynamically based upon real-time data. For example, a ragdoll physics or inverse kinematics for natural movement. So that's incredibly powerful based upon real-time data, so it's incorporating that on the fly. It's also got the motion AI systems where AI can drive non-player character NPC animations, enabling behaviors like walking, running, reacting to the environment without pre-animated sequences. Wow, that's huge. So it makes even the NPC life and movement and choices more realistic. Very, very powerful. It's got AI generated animations, which recent advancements in machine learning and AI have enabled tools that generate animations from text, prompts, or minimal input, like Unreal's MetaHuman animator can automate facial expressions from video inputs. Okay, so all of that to say there's a variety of things that we get to utilize. And why don't you sum that up in the words that you used before
Yeah, I
our
mean,
meeting? Because that was just from a
there's a
website.
lot. There is a lot going in there. How you develop games and how CGI and stuff like that is changing a lot. And Epic are now working with video productions as well as game studios. So what we currently do is we build all our animations ourselves. So if we're doing a fishing motion, we would draw all the different frames as it goes forward. Well, we can now do that with AI. We can say, look, draw me something that's fishing, and that will generate all the individual stills that go on to make like kind of like that 30 or 60 frames per second. So it can generate 1 second, whereas
And then it will pull that in with the motion matching to put it all together and create the fluid movement, right?
yeah. So motion matching really is it's a database, and the engine will know whether you're going left, whether you're going right, whether you're jumping, and it'll do that transition. It'll automatically go, all right, you're doing this action, I'll go and do those. Whereas in the past, we've had to say, right, we're pressing this button, therefore do this animation, then wait for that animation to finish, then go to this one. Well, motion matching will be able to stop halfway through. So it makes it really, really fluid. It is kind of like AI working. So we should see a much smoother character with more detail in the animations, because there's more frames in there. So it promises, and it looks absolutely incredible compared with our old one. What you'll see in the future is amazing, and we'll be able to get AI to build some of these for us.
Yeah. What I like most about it is how natural and cool it looks,
Yeah,
along with how it's going to really speed things up for us in that regard.
yeah,
And I think that along with our animator that's in house and using that tool, we should be able to really accelerate a lot of the movement that's in the game. And I love that it can incorporate into what the NPCs are doing as well. So
yeah. I mean, you get some of these big studios, like Rockstar. They've got thousands of people. Some of those just work on animations, so they'll have like motion capture suits. So you'll do the motion capture, that they record it with all this really expensive equipment. Then somebody will go and clean that up, and then eventually it'll find itself in game. Us as a small studio, to be able to just talk to an AI and say, just build me this kind of motion.
mhm. And well, to your
Incredible.
point though, that the AI, what I was also reading about it is that the AI that Unreal has put in is also reading a database. The model includes a
Yeah,
ton
that's the
of
motion. Yeah,
pre-recorded motion captures. So it's utilizing a ton to make it even more natural, which I
yeah,
think
yeah.
is
Yeah,
very
that's
exciting.
a good point. As well as creating some of the animations ourselves, motion matching already comes with I think it's about 600 of its own animations or frames of the database in there. And then when Unreal Engine 5.6 comes out, I think in April, that will have even more. So as more comes out,
5.6 is slated for April.
yeah, yeah,
Whew.
I know.
Okay. Uh, Well, as best we can, we want to try to stick with those. But man, each time that we have more and more in the game, more and more is affected by each release. And it becomes very unpredictable what exactly is going to break and what's not and how long it's going to take. But
Yeah.
we seem to be on a pretty good track of staying with the updates so far. So that's
Yeah,
exciting. One thing, please watch to the end. We've got an awesome leak for you that demos a lot of what Rob and I just talked about with the AI that Unreal Engine is incorporated. But that kind of is a nice segue to our next topic, which is AI that we plan to utilize on our own outside of the Unreal Engine. So the benefit of AI within gaming is obviously tremendous, and I'm really glad that we chose Unreal Engine in the beginning because they're staying with the trends and they're bringing AI into it, which is phenomenal. But some of what we've been talking about, I've announced this 2 years ago, doing AI powered NPC NFTs, and that's still on the table. That's something that we're really pushing our research with. We've talked to multiple partners on it, SingularityNet, Sophiaverse. We've talked with them. We're still talking to them. So we have a lot with these potential partners. We also have Dega that's working on AI agents as well. So we're going to look at doing some stuff with them. And we have our own internal team member, Greg, working on looking into some of the other, he's just starting with some research and see if we can get a small proof of concept together. Now, what I'm not going to announce is timing on any of this, but I do want to give some context to what I mean by an AI powered NPC. We can add the NFT element later and discuss that. But the AI powered NPC means that we're using AI in the form of an LLM, a large language model that can be trained on Cornucopias lore, and that AI agent can be trained on its particular NPC role within the game, whether it's an enemy, a friend, a dog, a robot that helps you do farming, whatever it may be. You now have the possibility to have dynamic conversations with this NPC agent. So that's what I'm talking about to give it context. Well, then if you add the NFT element to it, you can now own your own NFT robot or NFT farmer or NFT pet that you can then sell later on if you're tired of it, or you just want to send it back to the market and try something else for fun. I think it adds a huge fun element to the game, and that's something that we want to bring in. What I am going to say, though, is I don't know how performant this is going to be. We need the conversation, when you start a conversation, to be you ask a question. If I ask you a question and you're the NPC agent, you don't take 15 seconds to respond, because that's a deal breaker. If we can get that within 2 to 3 seconds and still be performant and not affect the performance of the rest of the game, then I think we're going in the right direction. And as long as the cost is not too prohibitive, which you and I discussed yesterday, I don't think the cost is going to be too prohibitive. So the main concern at this point is performance.
Yeah.
So I think the research we're doing is going to land us on something really powerful, and it might be sooner rather than later, but I'm not going to give a timeline because I don't want to do that. So yeah, very exciting stuff with AI. Also, I guess that brings us up to nodes, which you have some good stuff for us.
Nodes. Let me find where nodes. Yeah. So nodes is let me chunk nodes with I've lost my notes. Oh, here we go. With the launcher, really. So we've done a lot of work on the launcher. We internally all our downloads, that are daily builds that we're testing, they come via the launcher, which actually uses the nodes. We have a test group at the moment that have the file nodes, and they're using that. But we've got this kind of legacy issue, is that every time we want to download the internal version, we have to download the launch and we have to download the game again. And then if we want to switch to the live version of the game, we have to download the launch, download the executable again, and we have to download the game again. And I know it's dead simple problem to fix it in theory, but we are kind of struggling with it. But however, so we've done some work in that area now. So we now have a new version of the launcher that can actually change and use either the staging version or the live version. So most people will not have, everybody will be using this new launcher, but most people won't have the option to do the staging. However,
Gotcha.
also what's new is we can now download the game, obviously, through that launcher. So in the future, everybody will be downloading the game via file nodes, because at the moment everything's from AWS. So these are going to be in place pretty soon. And we have a switch to switch it over. If we're not happy with performance, we can switch it back to AWS. So that works really, really well. But another change that we're looking at doing, that this is not in place at the moment, is around the file nodes themselves. As in, Greg is looking at the data that is stored on those nodes, and we're looking to see if we can store less data. So, for example, if we have the game that's 40 gig, we want to also have a network where we can have the staging data on there as well. Now, if somebody's got a Raspberry Pi, for example, and they've only got a 32 gig memory in there, I mean, you're not even going to get the full game in there. Or maybe, let's say you've got 64, you'd get the full game, but you wouldn't get the full game and the staging version. That would take you over 64 gig. So what we're looking at doing is having partial data all over the place. So this means that our nodes will be able to have live the live partial bits of the live game, and also partial bits of the staging game, so they can continuously be in use. Once we get a new version of the game out, yeah, everybody wants that. That's hammered, but then the nodes kind of go quiet. Well, now we can use them both. So if we can do that, that means that, people will be able to decide how much storage they want to give to a node, whether it's a little or whether it's a lot, and then you can be serving more or less data. So I think that's a natural evolution. We've been talking about that almost from day one with Greg, but we're now at a position where we're actually looking at developing that.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, we're actually a legit depend project. Depend. I don't know how you say it, but decentralized physical infrastructure being what it is, and it was funny because that became a buzzword late last year, but we had already been working on it. And so I think that is incredibly powerful, and what we get to do with that over the future as we really get a handle on this. I mean, we've built it as commercial grade tech, and it's got the solid foundation that it really needs to excel and add value for us. And there's a lot that we can do with this in the future. A lot more types of uses of nodes as well, which is very, very exciting. Okay, server scaling. The long-standing issue of server scaling is really, it's coming to a close. It's working. There's a slight bug that needs to be it's a slight bug because I think it's going to be fairly easy for the team to resolve, but it definitely has to be resolved. And then we're going to be in a position where we've got server scaling that works, which basically means when the masses come in, let's say we did a large esports partnership and we had a certain number of users on a Monday and the partnership took off on a Tuesday, and it brought 10x the volume. Well, that means we're not going to have a situation where the game just goes crappy, losers performance, things are crap. We're not going to have that because the servers are going to scale with the increased volume, which is incredibly powerful for us. And it is a large issue that most games have to resolve in one way or another. Some people lean on Amazon Game Lift, and we looked into that, and that was a powerful solution. We're still using Amazon, yes, but we're doing it in our own custom way because it enabled us to have the variety that we need, because you've got different types of servers that are needed for different solutions or whatever, basically, or different conditions. So for racing, that's that's just a recurring thing that you do over and over again. That's different than an ongoing, persistent world.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
those types of solutions couldn't both be handled well by GameLift, and so we needed to do our own custom thing, which has taken longer. But the good thing is we're ready now with that, and it's coming very soon. Is there anything you would add to that?
Not in terms of scaling, no. I've got some more updates kind of with the game, but not
Oh,
scaling.
okay, go for it.
Yeah, okay. So working with Epic, when they release their new versions, that they with their features, they call some of their features experimental. Then they move into beta, and finally they go into production. So I think we're going to start using some of that wording around some of our features. So we might bring something in that's experimental, whether it stays or not, we don't know. We are working on, so that's finished. We are working on a new bodysuit. We are aware our current one is not ideal. So we're working on a new bodysuit. We're working on a new package. I'm just going to leave it as that.
Okay.
We're working on a package option. We are looking at updating the character creator. We might move some of the slides. Well, we are going to. We're probably going to get rid of some of the options. We may restrict the height range. So at the moment you can go really tall and really short. Well, that actually then has implications when we're doing some of the animations, and when we're grabbing onto things, some of the animations are slightly out of line. They're not as noticeable or easier to, we don't want the extremes. So that might change. We might remove some of the extra features, like being able to make the toes taller and shorter and the hands. We know how to
Right.
do that.
Simplify.
But again, some of these affect the character. With really tall characters, for example, we know that when people are flying bubble jets, the heads wearing hats pop out the top. So we're working at getting rid of, ironing out some of those bugs. So that's in a restriction. The actual tattoos and the body coloring, they're kind of hidden away at the moment within that character creator. So we've talked about, I don't think we'll have this in for the next one, but we've talked about removing that out of the character creator and actually having a tattoo shop or something similar within the game somewhere where you can just walk in, and that kind of makes sense, because people might see green and red characters and think, well, how do I do that? Well, now it'll be a lot easier to do. We are looking at developing tree chopping next. So that's something. I don't think we'll have it in the next build, but you never know. So that will come out, and that'll be the first one that'll start off probably in experimental mode. We've been researching really quite heavy quests and dialogues since before Christmas. So again, don't think it's going to be this next build, but probably the one after. We'll have the start of that, and actually that's a really good way, a good reason for us to use AI, because AI can help with some of those dialogues, and eventually we may get that where it's completely real time with an AI for some of those. So the AI knows the world, it knows what quests, it knows who you are, what quests you've done. But those are way in the future. So this is what I'm saying. We will have experimental, we'll have some beta stuff, as we'll call it, and then they'll finally go into production. So we are doing a lot in a lot of different areas. We'll have to see which one of them actually land in the next build. But the next build is going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it as well. I think it's going to be great. And that brings us up to our leak. Are you ready?
I am indeed.
Okay, let's do it.
I am indeed. Share my screen.
So what we have there is our character in motion. That was a very, very quick teaser, so I do apologize for that. But the reason for that is we want you guys to go over to our Twitter and check out the full video there and engage with it, because that this is a big announcement. What this enables is character movement in such a natural way. And I don't know if you noticed there, but in that quick 4-second clip, the hair, well, you'll notice this on the main video either way. You notice the hair can move, that the clothing moves with him in a very natural way. That's pretty powerful. I'm excited about that. We may not have that in the next release, the hair moving part and the clothing moving part. Each part of this needs to be put together on its own. But that being said, we are going to have this movement system in our next release, which I can't announce the date of, but that will be incorporated. So pretty powerful. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, this is it's basically a tech demo, but you are seeing our character in there.
Mm-hmm.
So Unreal Engine 5.5 gives us nanite hair now, gives us the movement, it gives us updated cloth, so we can move them. It also gives us different ways of being more performant of what we put on the characters. So in the past, where you've kind of had the skeleton, then you've had the skin, then you've had the clothes, maybe outer clothes, then maybe a backpack as well. All those have to be drawn individually. What we get now with 5.5 is we have this new technology where it only draws the front level.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that will be implemented straight away, but this technology is something that we can now start to use going forward. So we'll see much more performant characters. So we're really getting into the fine tuning optimization now. And then when again in the future, when we link that up with DLSS and FSR and all these, we're getting a really performant game that is now scalable. So come towards 6 months or towards the end of the year, with all the other features that we have, because don't forget, it's not just characters running around. We'll also have mining and fishing, and we'll have AI characters. That's all taking up CPUs. They'll be thinking. We'll have battles going on. You'll have all these people on screen doing all these kind of movements and things thinking. So we do need a really high performing game.
Mm-hmm.
And we're well on our way to doing that. It's a great time to be a game studio.
I agree. The game is the game is about to come to life with animals and NPCs and more movement, but also more gameplay over this year. And that's what really turns it into something that's sticky and fun and is going to help us to start growing. So it's a good thing these game servers are in place, because we have a massive year ahead with AI, with gameplay, all sorts of fun stuff coming your way. So very exciting. That brings us to the questions section. And first question is for you, sir. But this is from Lord of the Corn. So let's see. The question is, some land plot properties fall outside of town jurisdictions. What is the benefit of having in-town plots over the outback style in the roughage plots, and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean that was a really interesting question in the early days before we had jetpacks. How far out of town can you actually have?
Right.
Are the resources, whether it's mining or fishing or whether it is just your land plot? And now that we've seen that players that are running around, you can see it is actually only a bit of a short flight from anywhere. So really the choice is up to you now, whether you want to have your resources closer to the town, closer to maybe other kind of facilities. Maybe you just want a quiet place, or maybe you want lots of throughput of people. It's entirely up to you. So the advantages or disadvantages is entirely up to the player. We're not making one better than the other. It's all subjective.
Yeah, it is subjective indeed. Okay. Next questions are for me, I believe. You want to go for it?
Yes. So this is from Lee Steele of the Knights. He wants to know, what can you tell us about Q1 2025 pre-alpha esports Cornucopias Racing League South American tournaments? He's seen that on the Copi Wiki. Is the tournament a physical in-person location in South America?
Yeah, that's a great question. And clearly Lee Steele has been paying attention That's good, and that is in the works. We actually had a response from them yesterday, and Matt is engaging with them and planning a conversation for next week. And that conversation basically will cover the details of how we're going to get them in. Oh, and that brings up another important announcement. We've got the feature now where we can take influencers or large esports groups or communities and get them in the game very easily with an account code or something to that effect. I forget the exact details, but it's an onboarding that bypasses the charge or having the NFT to get in the game, which we very much need for marketing purposes. And that is now implemented. So it makes it easier to implement this tournament for us because we can get some of their players in quite a bit, without the roadblocks, which is a big deal. But yeah, that conversation will take place next week. They've thought through on their side what all the steps are for them to integrate and get this going with us. And so really it's a planning session to solidify and select the date and really plan towards that and executing. So that's in motion and very exciting that we have some of these features ready to onboard and talk to larger groups. Because one of the major goals for marketing, just a reminder, is this year we want to bring on larger partnerships where a new community gets access to Cornucopias. And we have to make that as easy and seamless as we can. In some cases, we may not use this feature necessarily, but in some cases we will. And it just depends upon the situation and what the partnership is. But yeah, very exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question.
We'll probably open up a server over there to help with that.
Make sure
that will scale.
Yeah. To make sure the performance is solid for those guys. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. Ready for the next question?
Yep. This one is from Fryler. We met Fryler a few times at some of the conferences. And strangely enough, the question is, will the team be attending any conferences this year?
Yeah. Well, planning on it. There's obviously always a consideration of rare Evo, and will definitely be there. To what scale? Are we going to have a booth? Can't answer the detailed questions there, but at the very least, Rob and I will be there, or the founding team will be there. But at best, hopefully we get a small booth and do something to engage with the community and do something fun. But I do think that with the way that we have to consider risk reward and in all of these scenarios with all expenses, the roadmap, everything has to, everybody wants to do everything, but the reality is we have constraints. And if it was up to me, there would be no budgetary restraints. There would be no team size restraints. There would be nothing, so that we could release everything by May, but that's just not realistic, and that's not where we're at. And so I guess what I'm saying is this is a year that we really, really want to deliver, and we want to focus on delivery. And conferences, if we went to a large gaming conference and we weren't quite ready for it, that's a huge distraction because we have to gear a lot of team effort around making that happen. It cuts out time. That being said, we absolutely love conferences. We love seeing Fryler face to face and different people in our community. And so we're absolutely going to be at Rare Evo. I just don't know to what degree. And then the reality is, most likely with the amount of stuff we have coming out this year, if we get to Alpha, then after Alpha, we're definitely going to want to go to a large gaming conference.
We'll go on tour
pretty quickly.
Yeah, we'll go on tour.
Probably. Yeah. It'll be a lot of that to really build up momentum, and it also kind of depends on what our marketing budget is and how much we need to spend on marketing as well. But yeah.
So we've been to Consensus the last few years. I like that because I get to come and hang around with you because those are in Austin. This year, though, Consensus is now in Toronto, and I think they've got one in Hong Kong. So I'm pretty sure we won't be going to any of those ones.
Yeah, that's true. And also that's a very broad target market of primarily Web3 and crypto, which is great. And that's good for going to a certain degree. And we might do some of those this year. It just depends. It's like there's a lot. So we're keeping options open. And
we're
if it makes sense, we will. But we really want to deliver game features this year. We really we've got to increase the stickiness. We've got an amazing, large, huge world, bigger than most games that are out there, bigger than 80% of the games that are out there, really, of explorable space, and it's curated and fun. Now it's like, okay, let's bring it to life and get the gameplay. That is the major focus. So what did you say in the middle there?
Oh, well, we're still going to keep an eye out, and we might decide to go to some. We there may be some new ones or some dedicated gaming ones. Perhaps in New York or maybe in Europe. We don't know yet. We are talking. We're open. We just got to find the best value for money at the moment.
It needs to make sense and needs to not be a big distraction from all the deliverables
definitely.
we need to do this year. Yep.
Yeah, they're hard. They're hard to pull off.
They are. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. This has been COPICafe episode 117. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. Help us get the word out about Cornucopias. Thank you all for watching. Love you. See you soon.
Show 'em up like I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say.